Hi, morning. My name's Nigel Hogben. I'm a flight engineer with MK Airlines, and we're just going to do our pre-flight walk around. Now what I'm looking at is the general outer condition of the aircraft, making sure the panels are correctly closed. The outer on the radome and that. Also checking general condition for holes, any FOD that's been picked up along the way. Then we go into the front here, the nose landing gear. Check the accumulator pressures for the nose wheel steering, and the general condition and for the attachments, hydraulic leaks, etc. Check the nose wheels, make sure there's no major cuts or anything like that. That's the torque link, make sure that is connected for our steering. And then from there we go along on the outside, we check other access panels that we have. Make sure that they're all closed and flush out of the airstream. Again, pitot-static ports, make sure that they're clear of all debris and no mechanical damage or deformity on them. These are the belly loading doors. Make sure they're closed properly and locked out of any airflow. These are the APU doors, the exhaust. On this side we have the inlet. We check that for security. We come to the main landing gear. Again, check the wheels and general condition. Look for any hydraulic leaks and general security of all fittings and that. Here we have the bay where the wheels retract into. Again, checking the pressures on the accumulators are all correct. All is good here. Hydraulic level is full up. We check it on the sight glass there. We are all full there. Then we go back. Again, walk along the fuselage. Check any belly doors, access doors closed. The outflow valve and the outflow nozzle, skid plates. Check for obstructions in the elevators and the rudder. And all the static wicks that are, make sure they're all present. Walk down the other side of the fuselage. Again, the same checks, doors, static ports. Make sure they're clear, deformed. Now we start with the engines. Check the exhausts. The turbine blades, the rear exhaust turbine blades, any forms of metal splatter or distortion or discoloration, and all the access doors. Cowlings are closed. Check the intakes, the actual soundproofing, make sure it's all intact, and the turbine blades. We'll check these various intakes as well. As we go around, we just check all the various panels, leading edges, and things like that. All repetitive checks, each engine is the same. Just look for the same things. Ensure that the fuel caps have been replaced by the refuelers. That is pretty much it. She's looking shipshape, and now we're ready to go. We have to hurry up now because we've got a slot time, so they have to get on board.
There you go, 36 psi, ready 3. Yeah. Valve is open. Pressure. guys ready? Ready in the back? Relax thrust. Turn these off first. Just wait till we get to 2,000 feet. Hold up. 2,000 and I'll be able to. Check something. Let's put the other one on and see what happens. Last thing I've done. Here we go. Okay. Should be coming out the ducts in the back as well.
315 Papa 7 Sierra. Thanks, sir. 28017, call 1332, bye-bye.
Patrick, do you want to Sure. Also got another someone to send us.
Right, we're now in the cruise at 370, bombing along nicely. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the flight engineers panel and all the things that I look at. Right, what we have over here is the all the sort of controls and the monitors for the generation system. This aircraft has 430 kVA generators, and that works out at one on each engine. These monitor the one generator, obviously engine 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the sort of the shared gauges. Now what you have is your DC loads, your CSD, which is a constant speed drive, and what that does is just whatever engine speed, whatever the engine RPM is, it regulates the generator speed so that it remains constant at all times. That gives you your oil temperature and also your temperature rise if you press this button here. Then you have your various lights, your generator drive oil light, which goes out once the generator fires up, generator fail lights, etc. Right, you come down the panel. Again, this is all to do with the generation, your emergency controls and that sort of thing. What actually happens, each engine, as I say, runs its own generator, but then you have a tie system which, should one generator fail, then they all run on like a shared system, so the other three will take the load. Obviously, if a generator fails, then you have to monitor the loads more carefully in case they start creeping up. And now we go down here, and we have the these are all the actual panel lights that we can turn up and down. That's for the work table. The various overhead lights, which are turned off at the moment. And that one comes on, that's for my control. And the instrument panel lights. During the day we tend to keep them off because they generate a lot of heat, and the panel ends up acting like a radiator. So we just keep those off until such times as they're required. I can turn those up for you now, so for better viewing. Right, coming down, we have a skid control monitor panel. This is on the Mark III anti-skid system. What you do, you have a lamp test, which brings on all the lights, and should one of the systems, the anti-skid systems, fail on any of the main gears, then it'll bring on a light there. When we come down here, we have the this is the manifolds air pressure. This is the pressure that's delivered from the engines, the high bleed and low bleed and that. And this gives us our air for pressurization and air conditioning and that sort of thing. These are the control switches for that manifold air pressure, or the actual difference. Like you go into high bleed and you'll see there's a rise in the manifold air pressure there. But while we're cruising along, we keep them all in low there. It's sufficient to maintain our pressurization. These are all the various control lights. tells us if we have overheating or anything like that. These are the cabin door lights. It tells us if, that the cabin doors are closed. It works on the micro switches. And these are recirculation fans, recirc fans, which work in accordance with the cabin temperature control systems and that. Coming across here, these are flow control valves. Now, use your flow control valves to increase or decrease the flow for the pressurization sort of system. Right now I have them on full flow, but we can wind them down, and as you'll see, the gauge there then varies. See, now the cabin altitude is climbing. So we take those back to full open. When we're setting up this is your flight levels and your cabin altitude. Now we're going along at 370, and so I've set this at 410. That's the higher setting reduces the differential pressure on the actual airframe, and we try and keep it a little bit lower because of the sort of aging airframe and that sort of thing. It just takes less stress on the actual system. When that's set at 410, it also reads on the outer scale a cabin altitude of 7,000 feet. Now you cross-reference this, the 7,000 feet, to that indicator there. That indicator is telling us that we are maintaining via automatic control a cabin altitude of 7,000 feet. Should that climb at flight level 100, then an alarm will go off to tell us that the cabin altitude is climbing, and obviously the higher it goes, the less oxygen that you have, and should you have a problem and that climbs, then you have to start going on to oxygen. This one here gives us our climb rate in 1,000 feet a minute, and as you can see now, it's maintaining 0 because it's automatically maintaining 7,000 feet, which is set up on that one. As you come up here, these are your cabin and your cockpit temperature controls for your conditioned air that's used for the pressurization. You can either heat it or cool it as required. Obviously, if we're carrying perishable goods, then you have it at a cool setting. But at this stage, then we've got it at the maximum setting for people's comfort. Coming up here, this is the cockpit climate control. I've just got the fan on low at this stage for the comfort of the guys in the front there. This is my radio selector panel, so I can listen to my radio, which is over here, and then listen to what's happening with the ATC and various communications. Going further up here, this is the oxygen regulator control. This used in an emergency, as I say, if our cabin altitude climbs to flight level 100, then an alarm goes off and you take the necessary actions. If it carries on climbing, could indicate a decompression or whatever, then you take your oxygen mask, which is over here. It's on a quick release mechanism. Pull that down and put it on, and it will automatically start as you're pulling on it. It's delivering oxygen. Come across here, we have a smoke detector panel with various zones. Those are used for the actual test and that. And as you can see at the moment, it's on normal. So should there be any smoke, then we can detect which sector of the aircraft it's being generated from. Come across here, you have a engine compartments. These are the fire warning tests. It's one of our pre-flight tests. Activate the switches, which turns on a master warning light, or a fire warning light, sorry, on the captain's sort of side of the console. And we have a light comes on there, and also these handles up here on your T-handle, the lights illuminate to tell you which engine has got a problem. Coming down now, this is our hydraulic control panel. What we have is hydraulic temperature, the hydraulic system pressure. We have two engine-driven pumps, one on engine number 2, one on engine number 3, and we can differentiate between those by turning those off. These are the bypass control switches, and then we can check that each pump is working correctly. This is your hydraulic brake pressure, which is charged by the main hydraulic system. Hydraulic quantity up in the normal range. What happens should this hydraulic quantity drop down or start dropping down, indicating a hydraulic leak? Then if you over here on this the cash register, we have controls here, which we pull this down if that quantity is dropping, and that then reserves the quantity for the auxiliary pump, and also gives you an opportunity to do a bit of troubleshooting to try and sort of establish where the hydraulic loss is. I've just got to do this fuel here. Our old reserve tanks have to be full at any time, so as soon as these lights start flashing, indicates that the levels drop slightly, and we just have to top them up using these alt refill switches. That should be sufficient. Right, getting back to up here, this is your spoiler hydraulic pressure, which there's no pressure at this stage. We get hydraulic spoiler pressure when the gear goes down. That's to prevent any in-flight spoilers deployment. And over here we have our air brake pressure for our emergencies and that. The auxiliary power unit control panel as such. The battery is on now. It charges during flight. That's the annunciator panel with all the various warnings, and tells us doors are open, and etc, etc.
Direct to Dino. Thank you. Clear to climb 330 direct 0261. Thank you. Hello, sir. Severance control, bună ziua, around 206, 200 climbing 210, now heading 215, approaching Beam Solid. Delta route 206, view current radar, Roger identified.
Right, this is the various controls for the APU, or the monitoring systems. The APU stands for Auxiliary Power Unit, which means that the aircraft is self-sufficient on the ground. Doesn't need any air carts to start it, or any ground power units for generation, electricity generation. This system can only be used on the ground. It cannot be used in the air. There you have your AC amps. This is your exhaust temperature for your APU, and there's your RPM for your APU. Various things, it's your fire warnings and the other sort of controls to start it and shut it down. And we also use this for starting engines. Once it's up and running, then we take bleed air from the APU and use that, which will give us our manifold pressure, which is what these jet engines use to start. Right, furthermore, down here, these are all the engine controls. Again, they work, that's for number 1 engine. That's the N1 RPM indicator, which is the first sort of stage of the turbine, the compressor stage. We monitor the RPM there, the oil level in that engine, the oil pressure, and also the oil temperature. These are pretty critical parameters, and we have to keep a close eye on those at all times and all phases during the flight. Below that we have the fuel system controls. These lights here tell us which valves are open and which valves are closed, so that we know when we're doing automatic transfers and that we know exactly what's going on and which tank fuel is going into. This aircraft has a 8-tank system. You have 4 main tanks, which are these ones down here. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and alternate tanks. We have alternate tank there and an alternate tank on number 4 as well. And then we have the center wing tanks. Now, depending on the specific gravity, we can take a maximum of about 70 tons of fuel in this aircraft. Obviously it varies with how much freight you're carrying and what distance you're going, because to carry fuel costs you fuel, so tend to just work on your reserves and enough for your alternates and that sort of thing. Now with this section of levers, we can take fuel from any tank to any engine and feed any engine from any tank. So it's pretty sort of a versatile system, very much a hands-on system with a small degree of automation, and but it works very well and very effective. Up here we have a jet view. This is like a modern version of the old sort of jet charts, where we look for the various airports and the approach and departure plates, and I also as the flight engineer can monitor the situation to be involved what the pilots are doing. This we can call up any sort of airport in the world, get back to there, get to airport search, and we're going to Dubai, which is designation is DXB. We pull up the plates, we come up there, and we want the approach plates, and we assume 11-1 is going to be the runway, which is 12 left, plate 11-1, and then we have the plates, the approach plate for Dubai, which I will then also be involved with monitoring the flying. And I think that's about all I can tell you about my panel. Spec thing in the middle, eh?
4003 Ankara. Ankara Turkish 4003, Guinness, checked order, maintaining flight of 397. Roger, radar contact. Thank you. Oxford Control, Bravo Tango Charlie 2976, good afternoon. Bravo Tango Charlie 2976 Ankara, good afternoon, radar contact.
go ahead.
Thanks very much. Hello, up from Kilo Oscar.
Kilo Oscar up. Good afternoon to you, go ahead.
Well, we should be landing Dubai at about 1810. Can you possibly get us the latest forecast for Dubai and Sharjah covering that time, please?
Okay, Louis, that's copied. Just stand by, get the Dubai and Sharjah weather for you. Hold on.
Thanks very much.
Okay, I'll give you the actual Dubai first at 1500 Zulu. Wind is 340, 11 knots. Variable between 320 degrees and 050 degrees. 8,000 meters. Sky clear. Temperature 35. Dew point 28. And November Hotel is 994.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Got that.
Okay, the forecast from 18 to 18. Wind 1606 knots. Cav okay. That's about it actually for the time you're going to get in, so shouldn't be any problem. It looks like it's the same for Sharjah as well.
Okay, well, that's great. Thanks very much for that, Paul. Anything else for us at all?
Sorry, say that again, Louis?
Anything else for us? In fact, sorry, can I just confirm we're staying the Dubai Hilton?
Confirmed, it's the Hilton Creek. Let me just have one more look just to make sure it hasn't changed since earlier on, and I'll just check that for you. Hold on.
Thanks.
Airline center with a 215 climbing. Ozone 562 Roger, report design level. Passwell contact ground level 310. Ozone 562.
What did you actually land with?
Sure. Alpha 315 Papa, it's go ahead. Alpha 315 Papa identified, position 13 miles southeast, sheet out flight level 370. At present position is clear, direct to OSAF.
There you go, sir. Michael Alpha 315 Papa.
Set 8,000
3,000 feet, 107. safe is 3109 now.
Thank you, clear to land, and copy the 1.231 Alpha.
Digit 429 and line up on runway 30 right after Qatar.
Line up and wait, runway 30 right, see the jet
429 and DC-8, cross 30 left behind.
We are running traffic on 30 left, straight across, the approach, west 9886.
Ratio 411 cross 30 right into November 2 after crossing ground 1885.
Close to call 30 right, number 2 and 11835 to be.
River Tower, good evening, it's Emirates 821 is ready in turn.
821 evening call short 30 left.
You're flying as Richard Strokes, mate.
Hello, Seabird 107, fully established 30 left.
Seabird 107, hold short to cruising, continue approach 30 left.
Continuing Seabird 107.
50, 40, 30, 20.
And see digit 429 and clear for takeoff 30 right, safe is wind 3107 knots, airborne departure 12445.
Cleared for takeoff 30 right, after airborne 12445, see the jet 429. Good night.
Miss 9886 after crossing line up on 30 right.
After crossing, line up and wait in turn on 30 right, Emirates 9886.
North 821, expect runway 30 left, your number 4 for the correction, expect 30 right, number 4 for the departure, Emirates 821.
Okay, confirm it's 821 is runway 30 right now.
North 821, I've failed due to traffic on 30 left, hold short 30 left, expect 30 right.
Only short 30 left, expect 30 right, Emirates 821.
Mike 15 Papa, vacate to left, Kilo 2.
Left Kilo 2, Mike Alpha 315 Papa.
Mike Kilo 15 Papa after vacating 30 left, ground 1835.
Ground 1835, Mike Alpha 315 Papa.
Target evening cat 8751, established RS 30 left, 9 miles. Delta 37, correction, Speedhead 107, clear stand 30 left, safe is from 3009 knots.